Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Warm Embers. I'm so excited for our guest today, the beautiful, talented Shauna White Bear. She's on TikTok. That's where I've seen her amazing work. She's a moccasin maker, and that is such a beautiful art. And the fact that that goes back millennia and that she's continuing it today is just so amazing. Thank you, Shauna, for being here.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thanks for reaching out to me. Doing podcasts is something new for me. So this is my second podcast I've done, and it's good practice because I want to practice kind of public speaking.
Yes, that's awesome. And you have such a great eye and story through your TikTok. I've seen your nature, your processes. It's so good. So give us your intro. Where are you from?
Okay, so I grew up in Puyallup, Washington,
Okay.
and I moved to Montana back in 2001. So that was the middle of my senior year. So you have to do the math, how old I am. And moved to Montana, graduated high school, lived in Bozeman for a little bit, and then I moved back to Washington, lived in Tacoma for like 10 years, and then decided to move back to Montana where my family is. And so I've been here about 12 years consecutively now. So, so yeah, I was originally a Washingtonian and now
Oh,
I'm a Montanian. Yeah.
that's awesome. And your tribe is from the
So
Brownie?
I'm an enrolled member of MHA Nation. I am a Rikara and Hidatsa.
Okay.
Yes, I never grew up in White Shield, North Dakota. That is where a lot of my family is, and that's where my dad's reservation is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally can. My dad was from Pine Ridge and I only visited there a few times, but I have a lot of family. But I know what you mean by like not
Yeah.
up in, but yeah,
So
totally get
like I'm an urban native, you know? But I remember like going because my mom spent some time on the res with my dad, and you know that generation's there's a lot of trauma, you know, and a lot of so my mom didn't want to raise me on the res.
Yeah.
So there's that. And
Yeah.
I always wonder like how different I would be, you know, like do you ever, you know, like I always think about that. Like would I have danced or would I have, you know, been more connected? But I don't know.
Yes, I'm sure there's another version out there in the some universe where you had that, a different Shauna. But yeah, I totally get that. Like, how would I be reconnecting or connecting with my relatives? Because I had a few like really beautiful stories where we went horseback riding with my cousins and stuff, but it was like a one-time thing. But actually, we just reconnected this year, so that's kind of interesting. Like,
Yeah.
what
Never
came.
too late to reconnect,
Yes,
right?
exactly, exactly. So, okay, so let's get in. How did you get into moccasin making?
So I started working at a cobbler shop downtown Bozeman.
Okay.
Okay. And I was working as kind of the front of the shop girl, I guess you could say, working
Uh-huh.
customer service. And the guys were repairing shoes and crafting leather goods. And I was really curious what was going on in the behind the scenes. And I've never played with leather medium before. So I was really intrigued by it. And they actually had moccasins in the store by a company called Arrow Moccasins.
Okay.
And they were a non-indigenous son and father company that, and then they were beautiful, and I can appreciate good craftsmanship, but it, you know, it was kind of bummed me out that they weren't native made. And in the back of my head, I was like, man, it'd be cool if I could make some moccasins, you know, in the back of my head. And it wasn't until this guy I was dating wanted a pair of hunting moccasins.
Ooh.
So I know. So I was like, all right, well, I found a pattern, and it was like the pucker toe slip on style moccasins. and I made my first pair. And I had never made anything from a pattern before. And man, I have a hard time reading instructions, but I was determined and I made them and I was very proud. But then he did not appreciate them. And so I got to get rid of that boyfriend. But then
I love
I, yes, but that desire and drive was still like in my veins. And I all I would do would think I would work in the cobbler shop, my 8 hours, and then I would stay after hours and work on moccasins. And then it became an obsession
it.
because I was like, and I always and my first pair of moccasins I made was from bison leather.
Okay.
So I always wanted to stay with that medium. And as I worked there, because they sold like bison leather cowboy boots, and kind of their sales pitch is like, bison is 3 times stronger than cowhide. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. It's a better quality meat because I've been eating bison, for a while. I was like, that makes sense. And of course, and they're indigenous to this area. So I was like, huh. So I always wanted to make just like heavy duty moccasins that you can wear all the time and made for all people. So that was kind of like my main focus when I started creating. And there was a lot of trial and error. It is hard work,
Uh-huh.
but when you are hyper fixated on something, and of course I was going through heartbreak.
Oh,
So what is
yeah.
the best medicine is doing art. You put all that energy into like a piece of art. And then yeah, it just evolved from there.
Yes, that's so true. Just throwing yourself in there and creating your art. So a few things you touched on that I think are being obsessed, right? Obsessed
Yeah.
with your craft. Like
Hmm.
that right there is like number one when you want to go into business, being obsessed. Yes, I love that. And then number two is like you were discussing trial and error. And I think that's a lot of art. It's just like learning, revising your craft. When I first started making earrings, it was the same thing to where I'd like miss a bead or not match the original pattern or it's like learning those things. I love that you're sharing that because that's part of the journey and that's part of refining your craft and what's made you so great.
Yeah, it trust me, there were many nights where I was crying in the shop because I was off a hole or I had to take them apart and
Oh,
then do them again. But if you can, I mean, the hardest part about moccasin making to me is starting, like, starting. But once you get going, and then, but then being able to finish something, because you finish one, it's like earring, you make one, and with beadwork, that's a whole other, and then you have to make another one that is symmetrical. And
uh-huh.
sometimes they look a little bit different. But I stuck with it. And that was the only thing that I ever stuck with, because in my 20s I was always trying doing things. I'm like, I'm gonna make earrings, feathered earrings, and I would do it. I would make dream catchers, and you do it just for a little bit and then it just loses its like appeal.
Yes, I love that. You found what create day after day reignites your fire to continue your business. That's so cool. So at what point did you think I'm gonna launch out and start White Bear Moccasins?
So it was in 2020.
Okay.
I decided because I started to reduce my hours at Carter's, and I really just wanted to focus on moccasin making. And
Mhm.
I had been a follower of Bethany Yellowtail,
Okay.
and I knew she had a collective. So in my delusional head at the time, I'm like, I would love to be part of the collective. And I knew she already had a moccasin maker, and I was just kind of in my head. I was like, well, maybe, but I need to get good.
Uh-huh.
So I had to practice. So that was my whole goal, is like, I'm going to practice, and maybe this is. So I ended up going on a trip to LA with my other designer friend. Her name's Laura. She does sustainable fashion, and she goes down to LA to the fashion district. If you've ever been down there, there's so she brought me along, and I contacted Bethany, And because I thought she had like a store that I can go to. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in LA. Can I stop by? And they were kind of like, well, we're not really like a store, like kind of like, what do you want? Not that direct, but like, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm a new moccasin maker and my friend does clothes. We want to just check out your stuff. And so then I shared my Instagram, and then they reached out and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we would love to talk to you about being part of the collective."
Yeah.
And so then what happens after you're a part of the collective, your Instagram and following starts to like get some traction. And
Uh-huh.
then to the point where I was becoming overwhelmed. And I had actually was during that time I was also teaching a young woman how to make moccasins, and then it kind of just hit me how there has to be many other indigenous people that never got the opportunity to, make moccasins or be able to be around leather. So I had the idea of recruiting indigenous college students.
Ooh, okay.
And so when my orders started to increase, that's when I was like, okay, I need to outsource. I mean, I need help
Yeah.
because my little hands can't do it all. And that was
Uh-huh.
back when I was using the straight needle and pliers. Now I've
Oh.
upgraded to a better needle that just reduces the hand pain. But so I had recruited, I think it was like four, five, I think five girls. They all showed up at my back door of the workshop one night after the shop closed.
Uh-huh.
And I had all these like five young women that were like, they've never met me before. I didn't interview them. They just showed up. They were like, here we are. And I was like, I didn't have a plan. I was like, um, okay, let's make a pair of moccasins. So that's what we did that night. We made a pair of moccasins. So basically, each of us would trace the outline or the template and then cut it out, take turns. And we did from start to finish, we made a pair of moccasins in
Oh,
one night.
wow, that's so cool.
And then the next project was I wanted them to customize their own. And
Oh,
then I had a little competition. I was like, well, whoever can finish theirs, they get an extra $50. I was trying to figure out incentives, but
yeah.
that also showed me how determined and how well they're going to be good at moccasin making, like staying focused.
Yeah.
And two out of the five girls is still with me today.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is so good.
Mm-hmm. I
That,
mean, I'm still in good relationship with all the other one. Bree, she's makes jewelry now.
huh?
And then Melissa, she's out in Missoula. She's also making jewelry and doing like indigenous markets. So, this is awesome.
That is awesome because you lit their fire to be a creative. And then it
I
just
hope I did.
the fact that they're still being artists is amazing,
Yes.
that they showed up, answered your call, which is so cool that you are giving back to the community in art and showing them that because when I've done classes where when people do something at the end, they feel so proud of themselves, like, look what I did.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's very rewarding.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes, I love that. And your moccasins are so beautiful. My favorite, I think, was the black ones with the monarch. Is it a monarch?
Is it the beaded monarch? Yeah.
Yeah, those are so pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think I'm going to do this. You get the orders from Bethany, and then from there, I'm sure it was like a lot of like a big learning curve, right? As your own
Oh,
business.
oh my goodness. Well, then the pressure was on that I
Uh-huh.
need to do a size run. So I don't remember. It was like, you know, 6 pairs, and back then, it was like, and that was before the team. So I had to make the 6 pairs by myself. But once and then COVID, that was another thing. COVID happened and things it was high risk when you go into business for yourself because I had quit the cobbler shop, but he was still letting me work out of the cobbler shop.
Uh-huh.
So they built me a little a workbench in the corner,
Cute.
and but then they had to close down,
Uh-huh.
and I was still able to stay in the workshop. And that's when TikTok
Uh-huh.
handy because I had an increase of sales and then they dropped for 1 month. I didn't have any sales. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? How am
Oh,
I going to survive? And then so I started to make TikToks and I didn't really want to do like dance or lip sync
okay.
videos. I just wanted to make my own music videos, like just working on my projects and then putting a cool song
Yeah.
and the, like that's all I wanted to do. But then that that helped increase my following. That helped me increase my sales.
Huh?
And man, yeah, that was so funny how TikTok.
Oh, right. I think TikTok is more of like I talk with my daughter about this, how it's more like human kind of human connection, compared to Instagram. Because
Right.
Instagram is like curated perfection, kind of like
Yeah.
gallery feel, kind of like takes out the human story. Where TikTok, we get to see people like in their house or what they're up to, or they're laying in bed telling us a story, and
Yes.
you
It's
know
more raw.
Yes, exactly. And you're able to grow more. And people are legitimately authentic in their comments too, to say,
Yeah.
I like this, and then it starts the conversation.
Yeah, totally.
And that's where I found you.
Yeah. And then you found me.
So I was
I made some great friends on TikTok.
like,
So I feel very fortunate to download that silly app,
I
that
know.
silly little app.
I know it's so funny because people will be like, oh, I don't do TikTok. I'm like,
I know.
oh, you're missing out on the fun.
Uh-huh. Well, they had it. I mean, I look back when we had no idea how
Mhm.
much controversy TikTok, how it's like political now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like it's wild
It is. It's so
because
fun.
it connects us. It sees people what they're doing in real time,
Uh-huh.
like nothing else, which I thought was and another thing when they were trying to ban it, I spoke at the Capitol here
Ooh,
to yes and one of my arguments was kind of like it helped indigenous small businesses because they'll be on the res and there's not a whole lot going on in a lot of these reservations,
yeah.
so it was a way for people to connect and sell their goods.
Yes, that's so true. Because a lot of people were panicking, like, we can't lose this because on Instagram they weren't growing and maybe they had like 1,000 followers. Where on TikTok they had like 55,000 followers.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was wild.
I know. Okay, so can you tell us about the moccasin making? Like what tools are used? And I love that. I did not know. Well, I guess it makes sense. So bison, my dad was telling me like, oh, you can't keep them in a fence because they'll go right through the barbed wire and keep going and stuff. So the fact that you said their hide is so much thicker, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah.
so like what tools do you use and what is your favorite type of material?
So in one pair, we could use about 16 different tools.
Oh,
So
wow.
when I started with an awl,
Okay.
and then the shop had an anvil, and then I mean, those were kind of like my main, the awl and a good pair of scissors.
Okay.
So those were like the main ones, but now we have all of these fancy tools that we can utilize. And it's kind of crazy. I don't realize how many different tools we use in a pair until one of my followers noticed it in a video and she's like, "Oh my God, I just noticed how many tools you use." And it's wild that people like will watch my time lapse and
Mhm.
they're so observant of the whole process.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's about 16 different tools that can be used. The main one is a good pair of scissors,
Yeah.
an awl, and an anvil. So every pair is hand cut.
Mhm.
So you have to really build. My hands are really strong, but we're using anywhere from like 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 ounce thick of bison leather. Okay, so that's pretty thick.
Yeah.
So every pair we have to hand cut it, and then we take the template, and then I do this boot making technique where I take baby powder, and the baby powder is kind of in this mesh cloth, and I put it over the holes, which I pick up the template, which leaves the hole behind. And so then I'm able to punch the holes.
Oh,
And so each pair, hand cut, every hole is done with an awl, a maul, a mallet. You call it a mallet.
yeah.
And then from there, if we're gluing in the insole, if we're lining it with wool. So that was always the kind of my signature thing from the very start is that I love to line things and
Huh?
I love wool and riveting. I love rivets. I love like brass. I love copper. So those were always kind of my signature things. And doing the darn stitch. Oh, here's an example. So
Ooh,
right here you have, this is kind of like my signature style.
yeah.
So I had taken a template
Huh?
and then I changed, the measurements and the template had more holes and I reduced the amount of holes and I kind of put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
And then I did the brass, or excuse me, yeah, the brass rivets. Then I do the darn stitching. I always liked incorporating the wool, whether it's on the inside or the outside, and then the mock knot, which is something because I hate tying. I mean, tying a pair of leather lace. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
So I came up with this idea of this like kind of sliding knot thing. And
Oh,
so this was kind of like my signature style.
yes.
Of course, with the cones.
Oh, those are so pretty.
Yeah, so this is bison leather.
Mhm.
And then my goal was always using like repurposed wool. So my friend has the clothing company. I would go through her scraps.
Uh-huh.
And then I started using Teton tray cloth.
Okay.
And then this here is vintage Woolrich, which I found on Facebook Marketplace.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of the times I use repurposed wool, and the only new wool I'll purchase is from Teton tray cloth. And sometimes I'll buy scraps of Pendleton,
Yeah.
but Pendleton wasn't really a wool that I was really wanting to utilize. I just feel like there were so many, companies, and it's not that I won't, because I have customers that want me to utilize it in their customs, which I'll do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the process. And then of course the stitching. So we hand stitch every pair. So in the beginning we use like kind of the long glover's needle and pliers, okay? Well, that was just taking too long. It's hard on the hand. And actually my current boyfriend,
Uh-huh.
he found this it was actually one of my first customers, which was sweet. But anyways, he discovered this S needle,
Uh-huh.
game changer,
Ooh.
and started using that. And so now it went from like us taking like 4 or 5 hours to like a couple hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
That
So for like a size 8 pair of moccasins, and the leather is maybe like 6 ounce, it could take a couple like 2 hours for a pair.
yeah.
Mhm. But then it will vary depending on like, like this pair here, we line it in the shaft with bison hair. And then every little detail we've added, of course, the sole
Yeah.
takes time.
Yes.
Takes so out of this pair, which I'm wearing, oh man, these took, which I love. I
Oh,
originally I
those
originally
are
was
art.
gonna do them for the pre-order. So
Uh-huh.
this is fox fur. I'm using more of that vintage Woolrich on the inside. Up on the tongue of it is a fleece. This is out of bison with a Vibram sole. And
Uh-huh.
they're just so cozy and they're perfect for this time of year. And then of course the rivets. I rivet each of them. So all of these leather tabs are hand cut. Each of this is hand riveted. And then you have the D-ring, everything done by hand.
Oh my God. Those are stunning. I would order a pair of those. Those are so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, all of your work. It's just thank you for sharing that because all of it's hand done here in the US,
Here in the US,
Uh-huh.
which is hard.
with locally sourced fabrics in some of them. I love that.
Yeah.
Coming from the environmental field, we think about like sustainability, recycling, repurpose, reusing things. And as Indigenous people, that was one of our go-tos also because I just remember sitting at the kitchen table with my grandma and she would look at things and she would be like, what is this made out of? Or like just really examining things so that she could think like, how can I make this with something else or what product was used, and then she'll be like remaking it later on, with stuff that she found. So yeah, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
What makes your
So
brand special?
yeah, I also think that I don't know how old your grandma was, but that generation sometimes had a hard time, throwing away things. So you
Yeah.
have a bunch of jars, and then it passes on to us. We're like, I can't throw that jar away. I can't throw that box away.
Oh my God.
I keep the box, or I can use that one day.
Uh-huh.
My
My
crew makes fun of me.
husband is like, oh, another jar. Or
Yes.
we get peppers and it's empty. He's like, here's your jar. I'm like, oh, so many jars.
Hmm.
So funny. Yes, I do have that trait, that tendency too. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so your craft is just so gorgeous. The time you take, the attention to detail, and then the modifications that you make. And I love your signature rivets and the wool. But okay, so what inspires you? Like, how did you like tell us like your creative process? What inspired you?
Um, so I think in the beginning, what inspired me was I just wanted to make a heavy duty moccasin for all. And then as far as like I was inspired by different types of materials. So I wanted to always try something new. So like whether it's a new wool or a new, material like fur. And
Mhm.
then eventually I got into, elk ivories.
Ooh,
And that's why I loved with the customs because customers were also really creative. They're like, oh, why don't you try this? And I was like, sure, let's give it a go. And
yeah.
then as we go on, more indigenous artists started to print their stuff onto fabric.
Uh-huh.
So then that, sparked more. I was like, oh, let me buy some of that. Let me add that into the lining of the moccasin. And let me use that satin ribbon for the binding of the moccasin. So it's like not only I'm inspired by, material, but I'm inspired by other indigenous artists where it's like, how can I incorporate their work into my work? And of course my environment. Montana or Gallatin County is known as the Valley of Flowers. So
Ooh,
indigenous people, yeah, so it's known that a common hunting ground to amongst tribes. So when during spring, this whole area, we just have wildflowers everywhere. So and
gorgeous.
then there's so many medicinal plants out here. So I do spend a lot of time outside.
Uh-huh.
So I'm definitely inspired by my environment. So whether it's in the spring and then winter comes, that's where the wool kind of comes in because wool has so many different types of properties as being, good for insulation, breathability. There is, what else? It's kind of water resistant. So I like to incorporate those things. And what I want to make it functional and fashionable.
Yes, I love that. The function and fashion because you want to make it beautiful for your customer. And it's an experience. I bet when they unbox it, right? They're just like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. The customs are fun. And then I also like with my pre-orders, I'll design a style and then I'll have like, 6 to 12 pairs available, and it'll be like, whether it's like 4 to 6 weeks
Uh-huh.
until they get them. So yes, it does take a while, which it's hard because, we're in this, people are so used to purchasing that immediate satisfaction.
I
And I think more people are becoming more patient,
huh?
but there's still the people that want it now.
Yeah.
And some of those people aren't my customers, like, and that's okay.
Yes.
I I can't compete with the fast fashion footwear. Um, Unfortunately, I can't. It's 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 frustrating at times when I see beautiful, intricate beadwork done on low quality leather, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh my gosh, or the assemble of the moccasin isn't resolable, so it's just going to end up in the landfill, in a couple years, which makes me sad. And so when I creating White Bear moccasins, I always wanted to make it. I wanted to teach my customers how to take care of their product. Also make them resolable so it can be repaired. And so that is, and again, working out of the cobbler shop, I learned different techniques, and I learned like low quality shoes or shoes you don't want to buy, shoes that can't be resold. And so I really thought it was so important to incorporate all of those techniques into my work, to make a product that will hopefully, can be passed down to their children.
Yes, that is circular right there. Like just like sustainability products, creating a craftsmanship product that will last. It's actually art. What you're
Yeah.
creating is art. And then it goes on to the next generation. And then once they're done, hopefully well, maybe that just keeps getting resold, you know?
Right. That's the goal.
Yes. So that's so important. I think people don't realize the fact you touched on fast fashion, like Amazon. As an entrepreneur myself, one of the things in the class was like be aware that the customers will want things like super fast. And it's
Mhm.
like so if I was going to order something from like overseas or whatever, and if it takes time, then like be aware that that's going to take a while, and the customer might get frustrated or whatever. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, how do we do things locally? How do we do things,
Yeah.
but you have that caveat where they're like, I don't want to wait. So I had ordered t-shirts from, I love supporting Indian Giver. He has the tattoo designs on like
Oh,
overseas and stuff.
I
And
don't know this designer. What's
yeah,
the name?
yeah, I know, right? He is Lakota too. And he it takes like weeks to get his stuff. Sometimes
Yeah.
I forget that I even ordered it and then it'll arrive. And that's just part of it. Like that's
Yeah.
that he's creating art, you're creating art. And I think that's a message we need to get out to people is that this is art. It takes time. Like let's get past the fast fashion. Let's start
Yeah.
thinking locally, sustainability wise, the fact that we can resole. I have been really into purchasing stuff through the Real Real, and that's like luxury because that is also craftsmanship where I really want to buy leather stuff because
Uh-huh.
that can be repaired, it's not like
Right.
plastic,
Right.
PVC, that just like once it tears, what are you going to do? You can't, do anything with it. So
Yeah, like the pleather, the vegan leather. I'm like, that's plastic.
it is,
I'm
yeah.
like, it's like worse.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've heard of cactus leather and pineapple leather, and I mean, it's expensive. And I always tell the customers, I'm like, if you buy them and send it to me, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I haven't found. None of my suppliers have a source of vegan leather,
Oh,
so I haven't tried it yet.
okay. Yes, I've
But
heard of cactus leather, but
yeah, I would try cactus leather, but not the plastic stuff. No, I won't do it.
okay. So how do you balance honoring tradition with the contemporary designs?
So I think by using the bison and
Mhm.
being an advocate for the bison and encouraging the reintroduction of the bison, and I think that is probably the most important. That's really connects me with past and present
Uh-huh.
into my work. So, and then being able to use old techniques with modern techniques or machinery.
Okay,
So
yeah.
like me being able to add a rubber sole to the bottom to give it some traction. So I've taken, something traditional and modernized it. And then making them indigenously made. So every pair is made by an indigenous moccasin maker. I think that is also really important part of the craft because not only are we teaching, the next generation, and these will be skills they can continue to
Mhm.
have the rest of their lives. And I hope that they will teach these skills to their kids and grandkids or whatever.
Yeah, that's yes, another 200 years there should be moccasin makers, you know? That's so
Yes,
cool. Okay, so this week is Rock Your Mocks. So I saw that you are rocking your mocks, which
I'm
is
rocking my
so
mocks.
cool. Yes. So do you wear them like all the time or how
I
often are you rocking your mocks?
I wear them every day. I think the only time I don't wear my moccasins is mud season.
Okay.
So I have my muck boots or my rubber boots.
Uh-huh. That makes
And then if I'm not wearing moccasins, it's my cowboy boots, which
oh,
are made out of bison.
oh, look at
And I got to customize them because
that.
and they're good quality cowboy boots because I worked out of a cobbler. I mean, they sold cowboy boots, so I had to get a pair of good quality cowboy boots.
Yes, I love that you speak about quality, about customs and just all of it is just art. I love that you're just surrounded with art. That even though it's like functional art, but it's still art, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they're little pieces of art on your feet.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so on your TikTok, I watched your journey at Crow Fair and I thought that was so cool. So
Oh,
tell us
goodness.
about that.
Well, that was probably the hardest 5 days of my life, but worth every minute. So that was kind of like a last minute idea.
Uh-huh.
And it was actually because of one of my employees, Valor Killsback, who repaired a pair of his moccasins, his
Okay.
traditional style moccasins. And I go back and I'm like, oh, you repair it? And I was like, what you use and what you do? And he told me, and I was like, well, how long did that take you? He's like, I don't know, like less than a half an hour, less than a half an hour. And I'm like, then a little light bulb popped up.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, because we were talking about maybe doing Crow Fair,
Yeah.
but then the thing is, our moccasins are expensive. Like I didn't know how if that price point would be like too much. So I felt like having something else
Uh-huh.
to offer.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, all right, well, we need to find a hand crank sewing machine. And I have my friend who is a bootmaker who I actually used to work with at Carter's. He had an extra one. He was like, sure. So he helped us set it up. He taught us how to use it. And yeah, it was like a couple weeks prior, we were just preparing and we had I borrowed the day before because my little Ford Escape was not going to fit everything.
Uh-huh.
So my friend loaned me her pickup truck, her
Oh,
old Ford pickup truck, and
uh-huh.
the bed. So we loaded that bitch up and we drove out to it was like me, Valor, and May, and we had no idea what to expect.
Uh-huh.
It was a hit. I mean, it was so needed,
Uh-huh.
and I had to we needed more materials. So I had to drive to Billings when we were in on pro agency, which is about, I think, like, I don't know, 30 minutes or so to maybe 45. I don't even know. But I had to drive, go to a leather shop, pick up more supplies, and go back to Crow Fair.
Uh-huh.
And because when some people, they had holes, like kind of where the beadwork is. So we had to like patch things.
Uh-huh.
So I needed thinner leather. So we were just problem solving on the fly,
Wow.
just like that. And all of us, and the fact that all of their family members, because three of them are no, two of them are from Crow, no, three of them. And then Valor's Northern Cheyenne, which is not too far away.
Yeah.
So they had friends and family coming. They're like, here, fix our moccasins. So it put a lot of pressure on us, but like good pressure. And
Yeah.
the satisfaction of people being so excited. And there's the appreciation. I mean, you'd had this like appreciation of like powwow culture. The fact that individuals that they powwow hard, where they have these giant holes. One guy had a moccasin in a moccasin
Oh, wow.
because one had a hole, so he shoved another moccasin, and they both had holes.
Uh-huh.
So we got to repair these, and it was amazing. And we want to do it again next year. So I purchased a couple more of those hand crank sewing machines, and so we'll do it next year.
Yeah.
But it is hard. We're working from like, and it's in August, so it's the hottest month of the year. So we're working from like noon until like 1:30 in the morning.
Uh-huh. Oh
It
my
was insane.
God.
And then I didn't stay out there. I got a hotel room in Hardin, which is like 15 minutes away. So at 1:30 in the morning, my ass is because we can't leave all our stuff that we have all of our tools. So the first night I ended up we loaded the truck back up pretty much,
Uh-huh.
just left the basics at the by the arbor, and then I had to drive all because everyone else they stayed with their family, and I drove myself at 1:30 in the morning to the hotel by myself. I had to lug everything up. It was
Oh,
so that after the second night, I Summer, she ended up packing a wagon and storing it in her teepee. So I only had to lug up because we had the internet. What is it called? Starlink. So we
okay.
had Starlink. But I had to carry this battery, this like $1,500 battery that my boyfriend loaned me, and I had no idea that's $1,500.
Oh my
But I'm like lugging this. It's like 50 pounds lugging this thing. But the internet, we needed internet.
God.
But man, yeah, it was a lot of fun. But
Oh,
you're not eating. And then I did a photo shoot with Bethany Yellowtail.
it's
I got to hang out with her family.
so-
You just see so many. You see relatives. I saw some relatives there. It's just the whole experience is beautiful.
I
And
love that.
yeah, it was good. And then we kept all the old souls.
Oh, you did?
I framed them all.
Oh my God. I love that. That is so
Yeah, yeah. I
cool.
could make, maybe one day after doing it for so many years, we can make some kind of art show out of it with all
Yeah.
these, like
Yeah.
all these souls.
Yes, because like just each one of those has a story of how many powwows they went to, how many
Uh-huh.
dances they did. Like, yeah. Oh, that's
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Art with an art with an art. Oh my
Hmm.
God. That
Hmm.
is so amazing.
Yeah.
So
Pretty cool.
that is okay. So knowing that you're saving all that, like, how do you see like what experience did this teach you about the importance of moccasins in people's lives? That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, well, it, I've been thinking about, how moccasins had basically been the first shoe to walk this land,
Yes.
and like once I like that, I figure that out, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Um, and and so then when we're repairing these traditional style moccasins that people have spent 20, 30 hours of beadwork on,
Mhm.
their heart, their soul into these and whether it's for their daughter or their grandchild. Um, and then seeing them the whole, they wear them so hard where they have holes on the bottom. You can't just throw them away. You have to bring them a new life. So like being able to bring these moccasins a new life so they can continue to dance into a traditional dance, a dance that was taken away from us, where it
Yeah.
was almost illegal. It's like there's so much power into that right there, being able to um, fix something and then give it a new life, and then see the happy faces that would come after. So that alone was just so important. I was like, man, we're doing something big, and the team also felt it too.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's such a great thank you for sharing that because of all the hours that they spent dancing, plus the people who actually made them in the beginning, and then the tie back to the land. That's so beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So. So yes, moccasins are very important shoes. And if we think about it, so many shoes are based on moccasins.
Yes.
We got all these big companies making moccasins, and and a lot of these big companies don't even connect the cultural ties to Indigenous people. So
Yes,
that's why I'm here to remind them.
exactly. You tell them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you won the powwow pitch. How was that?
Well, I was the semifinalist
Oh, okay, last year or this year.
this year. So,
Okay,
well, okay, I won my category. Okay.
okay.
So I had applied. I mean, I've applied to a few different grants. So I applied to this, and there were different categories. So I think there were like 10 different categories. So there was the fashion category. So I won my category.
Okay.
And then from that, then you go into the finalists. So you do one pitch, and then you win your category, and then you go to the finalist. And then I didn't win the finalist, but I was still honored
Uh-huh.
to even be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, but I think that the person who won is really doing some great work and trying to get healthy food into areas that don't get a lot of healthy foods. So I totally support that because, as we know, when we go to powwows, sometimes the really low quality foods, or it's hard to get good quality food out there.
Yeah.
Just so I think that is a good movement to support. So I hope the best. But it was a cool experience, and then having to pitch
Huh?
because it's like a native Shark Tank, and you're like you get like 2 minutes to pitch, and you're like trying to be really quick and get all your bullet points in, and it makes you really nervous, and you're like they're judging, and but it was a cool situation.
That
And
is,
as far as like applying for grants, I've won in the beginning of I mean, probably the second year in my business, I applied for, it was called Prospera's Women's Grant, and it was here in Montana. And it was a reimbursement grant, but I got $6,000, but then
wow.
I had to front it first, but I bought the machinery. And then the next grant that I won it's called Build a Nest,
Okay.
and it was in 2024. It was called the Heritage Craft Prize,
Uh-huh.
and it was kind of a competition, and it was amongst women of the West. So it
Okay.
was only certain states that was able to apply. So then they flew us out to, well, I drove out to Jackson Hole, where I
Oh,
got to meet Vina Brown from
uh-huh.
Copper Canoe Woman.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. Rhiannon Griego, who's a textile artist, and Morgan Bruckard, she's a bootmaker. So I got to meet all these like other craftswomen. So
Uh,
that was a competition where that's when Kendra Scott was one
okay.
of the sponsors. So last year is when I first met Kendra Scott, and that with that one I won $10,000
Oh,
to
wow.
go towards my business.
Yes.
Then I almost didn't apply. Somebody had reached out to me to remind me to apply, and I did it on a whim.
Uh-huh.
So I think because I know one of your questions is about the
Yeah.
grant writing, but I think after filling out I think the first one will always be the hardest one. So you have to just kind of spend time and figure out your numbers and figure things out. But after the first one, the rest of the grant writing will come easy because then you can just copy and paste.
Yeah. That's so important. Because grant writing to support your business, because there's a lot of grants out there. Um,
Yeah,
and just reading through them and taking your time. But I think it starts with your business was really fleshed out already. So I
yeah.
think that really helps. And you were already operating and
That,
well, later for the bigger ones, but that really helps like having your business plan, like who your customers, like you have your tool list, that's really important.
right. The when I applied for the first grant, it forced me to like figure out my numbers. Because
Uh-huh.
they were asking a lot of questions. Like they wanted me to know. I had to figure out how much cost and material was going into, because I these were things I was not doing. I was just kind of winging it. And
Uh-huh.
that's what happens in the beginning. And yeah, maybe taking a business class might be a better idea, but I'm that person that has to just experience it and learn it that way.
Uh-huh. Same. Same, same. Yeah.
It's like just throw me into the snakes, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I'll figure it out. And there were some things that I was pricing right at. Think there was the soul. I was pricing correctly, but then there were some things I had to go up on.
Uh-huh.
But that first initial grant, and I had to basically put myself through business school, like 2 weeks of like learning profit margins and like the QuickBook and all of that
Uh-huh.
was really actually good for me. And I think if you are really serious about being a business owner, you have to do that kind of stuff. You want to stay. I mean, it's hard. It's a hustle.
Uh-huh.
Every day is a hustle, and I feel like I've been hustling since I've been a little entrepreneur since I was like a little girl because
Uh-huh.
of my mom. My mama was making dream catchers and selling them, which is I think back because she taught me like we would make them, but then she would make hers like so unique. She was making them purple with like crystals and the web, and the fair would be going on and she'd be selling them. And then when you weave them, you have to keep that web really tight. So I had been stitching since I was like like 9, 10 years old,
Uh-huh.
and selling them with my mom, which
Oh,
is
cute.
is wild.
That is. Yes, I love that the fact that you learned it from your mom and then now learning all the entrepreneurial parts of the business. And it is a lot. It is like every day I'm learning like, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that. Like I was sent a video of a fashion show that I participated in and it was like 9 hours. I'm like, I'm not downloading that now. I now have to figure out, right? How do I just get my little 5-minute clip? So it's always learning. So that's part. So if you love learning, you love challenges, and you love what you're doing, that entrepreneurship is for you.
And problem solving on the fly, being able to take criticism, customer service, but sometimes the customers aren't always right. But also learning how to, I think being transparent in communication is ultimate key. And I think the worst way to conduct a lot of business, like especially if there's a financial transaction in that, is through Instagram DMs.
Uh-huh.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Just take the time to make the call, or write out a good email, schedule the call, or just or the Zoom call, like being able to connect with somebody that way.
Mhm.
And then contracts.
Oh yeah.
That's really important too. And what I've just recently learned is what happens when a customer that is a friend that comes in is like, I want to order a pair of custom moccasins. And then you assume like they've already looked at your website, and that's what as me is like I assume this. I quickly learned that she had no idea. And I had these policies, and like, so trying to be as transparent with treat, even if they're your friend, you
Huh?
still have to do your policies just like somebody you don't know. Like, here's the customer agreement. Here you gotta sign this, and you gotta read through the return policy. There's all these things. Everything's in place for a reason.
Yes.
And working with sometimes friends, and you want to like give them a deal, and but then they have to know like we can't give everybody deals, or
Huh?
else we'd be bankrupt.
Yes, no, I get that. That's another thing that I'm learning. Like somebody wanted to borrow something, and I was like, "Oh, friend, here you go." But then it's like at the end of the whole thing, I was like, "No, I have to do a loan agreement. I have to have the terms written. I have to be." But I was like, "Oh, friend," I was like, "No, we're a business, Tiff. Come on.
Yeah, it just saves you in the headache.
Yes. So, okay, what do you hope people feel when they wear white bear moccasins?
I hope that they feel well a few different things. I hope my customers when they not only purchase because it's aesthetically pleasing, I want them to purchase because it's heavy duty, but also that they're supporting not just a small moccasin making company, they're also supporting kind of a movement, you know, of an indigenous business that is kind of taking back a stylish shoe that was capitalized by non-indigenous people. So I hope that they're very thoughtful in their their purchase.
Mm. That is so true because being made in the US by Indigenous people is just so important. It is.
Yes. And then they'll always have like a moccasin maker. Like I will always repair my moccasins. I will always help if they want to repair their moccasin. I'll tell them what to do. I'll tell them what to use. I'll tell them what needle they could use, what kind of glue to use. Like I want to always have that good relationship with my customers.
That is beautiful right there. Just even that. Like how many brands do that? You know?
I hope that one day I can produce a large amount of shoes and still hold the integrity of the moccasin and have them made by Indigenous people in the US. I think it's possible. It may just take me a little while to get there.
Yes, you're gonna figure it out.
Yes.
You're gonna figure out how to make the numbers work because
Yes.
we do know that there are moccasins that say Indigenous, promoted by Indigenous, that are not made here.
I know
But I, but
it's so
White Bear.
like, and who's doing the beadwork?
Oh,
That's my question. Who's doing the beadwork?
yeah.
How much are they charging them for the beadwork? I have so many questions. Like, is there like a machine that's doing the beadwork, or they're actually hand beading each pair?
I was wondering that too. I don't
Like,
know. Yeah.
I don't have the marketing budget to like, oh, I'll give you 5 pairs of moccasins, and then can you make my content, and then I'll pay you another, 10 grand or something. I don't have that marketing. Not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Because
Not
I was
yet.
thinking about that too, because I'm going to launch some products and I'm trying to like keep in my mind like I want to send some free, which my products are like way lower cost than yours. But like so out of my pocket, I'm like, okay, well, if I can choose 5 people to send them like maybe $100 worth of my products, but then that's a big gamble. Like, what if they don't, you know, you
That's why you have to have a contract. You
yeah.
have to have some, just have Chat GPT help you out,
Yes.
and then be like, have a little contract with them and be like, if I send you these, can you do, like 2 videos and hashtag this or whatever? And it
Yeah.
is a gamble. I mean, it is a gamble. You have no,
Definitely.
it may not have um, any views. You don't know,
Yeah.
but it may.
It's so interesting because that's part of entrepreneurship today is that that is a common thing. Like people are sending if you see like influencers promoting these things, well, they're getting paid to do that, you know? So and then little businesses like us, we're like, okay, we got to put that in the budget or write that into like next year or whatever. So yeah, it's interesting. Like another like little facet to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Uh-huh.
But so who's your like your dream native influencer that you would like to rock your stuff?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know because
I mean,
finding more and more on Facebook. I
yeah.
so I usually use Instagram and so but Facebook, some of them have these huge followings. I just saw a runner and she does such beautiful content, like meaningful, like
Uh-huh.
it really resonates with people. And I can't think of her name right now, but I thought like
Didn't she just do the collaboration with
yes,
Nike? Yes. Oh yeah, and she's
yes,
also a bead artist. She's known as Antelope Woman.
yeah. Oh, no way.
Yes,
Oh,
and she's I think she's Blackfeet, so she's in
yeah.
Montana.
Okay.
Yes, I
And
haven't met her in person, but I've chatted with her, and I've been following her because she was kind of early TikTok days too.
oh wow,
Yeah,
see,
because she has two different. I love this reinvention of herself because she was making a lot of good, beaded content, and then a lot of her work, she was, Quana chasing horse was wearing it on the red carpet, and a lot of these big, models, and then then suddenly she kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then now next thing you know, she's running, and she's like on this, she's like focused, and I'm like, you go, girl,
I know that is
master
so
it.
good. I love that. Yes, I came across her on Facebook and I was just like, this, she's like, her content is amazing. But I didn't know she was antelope because antelope woman, I love that her stuff was unique. Like it wasn't just flat lay beads, it was like
Three
three.
dimensional.
Yeah, so good.
Yep.
Idea.
Same, but that just shows you how you can just have different chapters in your life and constantly reinventing ourselves. Like
Yeah.
we don't have to be the same person all the time. We can be different variations of ourselves, and that's so fun.
Is. I love that. I love this conversation. So we're wrapping up.
Well, I did want to answer your one question about who would be my ideal
Yes,
person to make moccasins for.
yes.
I really want to make moccasins for Macklemore.
Oh,
And I met Macklemore when I was in my early 20s.
oh, oh,
And I have to just share because I want this to get to him one day.
yes.
So I lived in Washington State, and he's from Seattle, and he would go to Evergreen College, and he was doing a show in Olympia, and I would go to his shows because I had a little crush on him, and he's so nice. Anyways, I met him, just sweet. But I remember him performing, and there was like nobody there. It was like me and like three people. But he stood up there and he rapped his heart out, and he performed beautifully. And then, as we know how he blew up. So a lot of times that's the story I tell when people are like, like they're feeling down on themselves, or they don't think they did good enough, or their event didn't turn out. And I was like, you know what? Macklemore, when his early days, he would perform and there was like three people in the audience, but he stood up there and he acted like there was a whole crowd, like thousands of people. And this was back in 2024 or 2004,
Oh,
2004,
yeah.
So I would love to make him moccasins. So Macklemore, come on, White Bear Moccasins. I can picture a pair of White Bear Moccasins on him, huh? Don't
Yes,
you, can you see it?
exactly. I can see it. I can with the rivet, all of it.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the lace that slides,
Uh-huh.
all of it. Yes, I love
Yeah.
that. That is such a great story. Oh my God. Because when you get down on yourself, just think about Macklemore.
Yes, exactly. That's
Yes.
exactly. It's just so funny. I recently, yeah, I told it to one of my younger friends, but yeah, that it was just like, think about Macklemore. But that is crazy, like when you host events and you don't know who's going to show up, and then you don't have anybody there, and then you're like, I'm a failure. You can't help but feeling, or like I didn't do. But then, but I was just so impressed. Like he was performing like there was thousands of people, and he was a nice guy. He wasn't like bitter. Like at least the energy he put off when I met him. And another funny thing is back when MySpace was a thing. So we took this picture. I ended up finding him on MySpace and sending him a message and sending him this picture. And he remembers me. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're the girl with the crazy gloves." Because I always wear wrist warmers. So there was they're like these bright purple wrist warmers I would wear that were alpaca, and that's how he remembered me. So you're the girl with the crazy gloves. I'm like, I'm such a stalker. you know, like creeping up on him in his DMs on MySpace days. Like, who did I think I was? Like, really? It's
That's why,
delusional.
that's why he went to Black Hills Pow-wow. He's like, where's that girl with the alpaca glove?
I was so, one of my employees was there. I was so mad because he was like, you should go. And I'm like, I don't know. We have so much work. I couldn't, it wasn't in my cards, but he was there. I was like, I'm so close to like, how do I get to hold of his people?
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll get that message out. We'll put,
Yeah, we'll get it out.
come on, we're gonna manifest that. Yes. Okay, so is there anything you'd like to promote aside from Macklemore?
Oh, um, my thing is, well, right now we have our holiday customs available and for our 2026 custom list. So please check out our website. We have a few pre-orders available and look out. We will be attending the Indigenous market here in Bozeman, Montana, up to, oh no, excuse me, November 28th and 29th.
Okay, awesome.
So
Look out, go see that. That's awesome. And check out the list, the customs. I'm definitely gonna get myself on there because the ones that you're wearing are so beautiful. I love rivets. Rivets are just, I think, are so punk rock.
I know riveting is one of my favorite things to do. It's just fun. I mean, it's like Rosie the Riveter. Women were really they were the best at riveting,
Uh-huh.
which makes I mean, I get it. It's we're very precise, and it just and you have the rivet, the kind of the washer, and then you have the plier. I mean, I love working with good tools.
That I love it. Okay, so here's the three rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, what is playing in the background when you're in the zone making mocks?
So usually, right now, it's that '70s show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I have a tendency to go back on watching series that I've already watched before, so I can just listen. I don't necessarily need to watch, I'll just listen to it. So right now, I'm
Huh?
going through my series and it's the '70s show.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah. When I'm making my earrings and stuff, at least there's just something in the background.
Something in the background, yeah.
Okay, so what's your go-to snack or drink while you're sewing or beading?
So well, I'm in my candy phase.
Okay.
So actually, it's the Swedish candy.
Oh, I've never even seen
So get this. So it's like best gummy texture, but it's also doesn't have any artificial colors or sweeteners. So it's yes, it's still candy, but it's cleaner. It's addicting. So if
that.
you ever see this, if you like, so right now this is my addiction. But I'm either drinking right now. I'm drinking some creatine,
Okay. Oh,
creatine or water.
all right, go. Okay, so what's the most unexpected place that you've seen somebody wearing your mocks?
Oh, um, actually, I saw somebody wearing my moccasins on some TV series, which I don't, it was like some documentary, which I had no idea. I'm just watching it. I
Mhm.
don't remember exact, because this was years back, but I was just sitting there watching it, and she was like sitting on a car, and she was wearing the trade cloth chukka moccasins. And I
Ooh,
was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So
so cool.
that was pretty unexpected and
Oh,
cool. But yeah, sometimes I'll see people, usually people will send me videos of people wearing them out. So one was like at I think it was Ludacris concert,
no way. Oh my God. Ooh, I
and
love that.
shows me a picture, and it's like kind of muddy. She's wearing the mock chain. I'm like, oh no, they're around mud.
Oh.
But yeah, it's always a delight to see people wearing my moccasins in the public,
Oh.
because once you like ship them off, sometimes you don't. Actually, just recently, what is his? He's the Thunder Eagle,
Oh,
or
yes.
yeah, yeah. He has a pair of my moccasins. He bought them 5 years ago, and I just saw one of his videos, and he's wearing them, but they look like they need to be repaired. I
Oh,
was like, "You've been wearing them hard. I'm happy to repair them if you want."
yeah.
Looks like the lace is missing. He had the tongue kind of flipped down. I was like, I can repair them if you want, but he's rocking them still, so that's awesome. Those are my early moccasins, so that's cool that they're still holding up.
Well, Shauna, this has been a delight. I absolutely love chatting with you. Uh, you're sharing White Bear Moccasin with us, and I just can't wait to put in an order. And I just love your energy, your beauty, your story. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate it. And you keep at it. You keep interviewing people. You're very personable and easy to talk with.
Oh,
So you're in the right path.
okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, well, have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye.